weekend racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show. Fresh off the Breeders' Cup, Mr. Samich. Welcome back home.
Huzzah! We're back. Yeah, no, it's good, man. It's good. The Breeders' Cup was crazy. It was an absolute blast. Very odd being at another racetrack for it. I've never not been either at the racetrack that it's happening at or at my house for a Breeders' Cup. So it was interesting to be at an alternate site. But it's a lot of fun, man. How was your Breeders' Cup weekend?
It was pretty great, thanks. If everybody was watching the live shows, the live streams that we did, recapping, or you caught the Blinkers Off podcast, it was a very busy week, of course, but I had a lot of fun. To me, this is probably my second favorite Breeders' Cup. I've been seriously involved with horse racing through 4 of them now. My favorite's 2017 still. It was my first one being at the track. It was at Del Mar, which I had just started to fall in love with. It was the first time I got to see championship horses up close and sometimes even be able to pet them. So a lot of my love from horse racing and horses that I love, that was the first time I really got to see them in person and up close. So, it sucks that it wasn't able to cover it live on site at Keeneland this year, but overall, this is probably my favorite one. And I think because I wasn't at the track, I made a lot more money than I would have otherwise because I wasn't just firing 10, win bets here, exacts is here. So very profitable day for me. Not quite as profitable of a weekend that you had though.
Yeah, Breeders' Cup was okay. Not gonna lie. No, it was interesting playing the BCBC because I've never bet the way you have to bet in that tournament. It's a real experience. Like it's a mind bleep with you. I mean, if you're thinking about how do we try and win, and you're following the leaderboard, and literally you have people at $30,000 3 races in, and you're sitting there with $7,500, and I've never bet $1,000 straight exact in my life. Never bet $200 tries. Never bet $1,500 win bets, anything like that. So for the first time to step into this situation and realize, oh shit, I gotta I say press your opinion. I mean, I gotta you got to hammer your strong opinion. And that's the one thing I definitely took away from it too. I mean, the next time I play in live tournaments, which is hopefully going to be Pegasus at Gulfstream in January, you really have to key on 2 or 3 races and get it done. I mean, if you look at who finished both first and second, they went all in on Monomoy Girl, doubled their money, and then bet massive doubles with Tanawa into Authentic in JK's case, and a massive exactas in the Truxton's case, in Marshall Graham's case. And that's what got them home. Really, what you realize, or what I realize, is it's all about the last 3 or 4 races. That is where you need to make your money. And the early races, yeah, they're important, but you're just setting the bar, and people are going to go after that bar and create bets that are going to put them over that bar. So really, it's those last 3 or 4 races you have to excel at to be able to really get it done.
Well, I know we're excited to hear about your BCBC experience because when you came in on the live show recapping Saturday's action on Blinkers Off on Saturday night, we kind of ran out of time in the middle hour and a half, and I said, I want to give you more than 5 minutes to talk about that. So we'll get into it. It'll be the first topic that we talk about on the show. If you guys are watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, really appreciate you joining us on this Monday afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you're at in the world. If you have any questions or comments or things you want to talk about, throw them in the chat. We got a lot of questions. We're going to do a little different this time. Usually these Mondays are kind of a recap to talk about what we learned. We got plenty of things that we learned. We're going to do a little different. It's going to be a buy or sell, and I'll pose a bunch of questions to Mike and I, and then you guys can, of course, chime in. So let us know. We'll put our favorite ones up on the screen here. Mike, the Breeders' Cup to me is as much about the feel-good stories as it is everything else. So the best thing that you saw this weekend, other than the bankroll that you earned for all of your big tournament wins and everything like that, what was just the best thing overall about the Breeders' Cup weekend for you?
I mean, honestly, I had a blast playing, and was fortunate to sit in a room with, it was socially distanced. There was 3 other guys that sat in the room, and the opportunity to just meet 3 people that were into horse racing. A couple of them I knew from online or had seen in tournaments, and have that camaraderie of everyone rooting for it, and hearing people in other rooms go crazy, and just having that experience was definitely something I thought was an absolute blast. One of my favorite parts of the weekend. From an on the track perspective, I mean, a huge horse for me this weekend, and a horse that I kind of just love the hard knocking style. I mean, Whitmore was awesome. That horse to win with the track playing the way it was, and just to kind of come up with that performance at his age was absolutely amazing. I mean, this is what the fourth sprint that horse has been in. It's won multiple stakes at Oaklawn before. It's just a hard knocking horse that just people thought had taken a step back. And man, Whitmore showed up and showed out. I mean, he won by 3+ lengths in a race that's 6 furlongs that no one had done anything like that from off the pace all weekend. So the way that he ran, and for him to just kind of be that old Johnny Triard horse and be able to get it done in the sprint after we talked about Yelpon and we talked about Diamond Oops and we talked like all these different horses that were just going to show up and blow out. And he just blew them all out of the water with that sweet, sweet inside move too. I mean, I loved how he hugged the rail, spun out wide, and you knew it was over top of the stretch. And then it was the reaction online from one of I think it's the son of the trainer, Chance Marquette, was amazing. I mean, just one of those things where I love it when people kind of let you in their world. And he was so excited, and his dogs were just like jumping up and down and going crazy too. So very cool to see that as well. And just one of those horses that, like, there's some horses that I really don't like that won, and Whitmore is one of those that I just think is a really cool horse. I'm happy he was able to get a BC win.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I think this was an honest mistake, but we've so far covered the first 2 buy or sell topics just in the first 5 minutes of the show. I'll save my comments for Whitmore when we get to them here in a few minutes, because you brought everything that you said. I'm going to agree with you wholeheartedly. But for me, the best thing, honestly, this is the best betting Breeders' Cup I've ever had, and part of it, like I said, I think it's because I wasn't at the track. I didn't have the adrenaline pumping. I didn't have Aaron and Jared, whose opinions, like yours, I respect immensely. Sometimes they can sway me. I always defer to who like you like to say, Mike, who's the smartest person in the room? It ain't this guy, so I'm going to defer. And in the past, I've gone away from my own opinions, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's just kind of how it goes with horse racing. But this time, I made all my bets in the morning before the first race. Not even the first Breeders' Cup. The very first race was off. Put all my bets in and said, this money's gone, and we're just going to have fun. And I got to thank TVG because they put up the win insurance bonus. So the 3 times that I bet a horse to win, twice they hit the board and I got that money back. So I doubly had a really nice experience. So for me, it was just, I went into this weekend very calm, very prepared, very ready. I had my opinions. I knew what races I wanted to bet. And I think more importantly, Mike, I knew a lot of these races, nope, I'm not even touching. I don't know. Like the mile, didn't bet that. That was a smart, other than the pick 4 that failed, but I didn't bet anybody to win in that race. The sprint, I didn't know who to trust in that, so I let it alone. Pretty much anything that had a big bomb come across, that was a race that I said, nope, not going to touch it. So it worked out really well for me. So from my perspective, being able to know which races to bet and which ones to just sit and watch, or as Aaron says, just get some popcorn and beer, to me, that made all the difference this year.
Yeah, I love your comment about trusting your own opinion too. I mean, we talk about it. Yeah, okay, we may know more about certain races, certain horses, have been doing this longer, have a quote unquote more expert opinion. I think it's important to trust yourself in a lot of these spots, though. I mean, it's tough to be winning long term, and sometimes you just get more enjoyment out of your own opinion too. You want to be right, and you want to work to get to that. Now, listening to other people and forming. I always say this. We haven't said this in a while. Once you place the bet, it's your opinion, no matter how you got to it. If it's your money, if you put the $2 down, and even if someone else told you to bet it to win, that's now your opinion because it's your money. And that's the big thing. You can get to your opinion in a lot of different ways. And sometimes the best is just to trust yourself. I thought this was a great betting year because we didn't have as many superstars this year. I think that was a huge thing. If you look at some of the years past, you have horses that are monsters that won. They consistently were going off at 8-5, 9-5, 7-5, 6-5, 3-5, whatever you want to say. This year we had one of those, a Monomoy Girl. Pretty much no one else on the card. I mean, Nashville was on the undercard, but pretty much no one else on the card was this rock solid 7-5 favorite. I guess Golden Pal too. But in that horse, you had 14, or that field, you had 14 horses, and they're all 2-year-olds. So you can go a lot of different directions, and that makes it a great betting weekend. Man, the Euros showing out also increased the value of a lot of those turf races as well, because it's crazy. There's 2 trends on turf races in the Breeders' Cup. Everyone bets the North American horses, and all the Euros win. It's amazing.
It was a great weekend. We got a lot to talk into it, Mike. Let's just jump right into things. Riders up. All right, Mike. First thing, buy or sell. Mike's Breeders' Cup betting challenge experience. I think we know where some of these are going to go, but tell us about your experience overall. And buy or sell, it was a good experience for you.
Definitely a buy, and definitely, like, it's interesting. I would sell my performance because I could have done better and had knowing now what I know, right? The lack of knowledge going into this and being my first real money competition really changed the way I would play it now. Like, looking back, I should have pressed my big opinions more and saved money for certain areas. So I'm looking forward to doing it again. All in all, though, it's like a huge buy. Like, I cannot stress enough, if you try to qualify or can qualify for these, do it. Like, it is so much fun to be there, be in the room. NHC was a blast being in that room with so many people. BCBC, like, yeah, I walked in there with the same idea that, okay, I qualified for this I got 2 entries essentially for about $400, $500 total. I didn't care if I lost every dime of that 15,000 I was betting. And walking in with that mentality was very important, because to me, I'm losing $500 and it's already gone. So if you walk in with that mentality, you have a much better chance of winning, but you also have a lot of fun, man. Because like punching in $300 doubles, it's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie, like it gets your blood pumping. The first couple mandatories, you have to bet $600 minimum on a race. I don't bet $600 on a race very often. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, that's a lot of money to be betting on a single race in my mind. So betting $300 wins and betting, $300 doubles and $200 straight tries, things like that. It changes the way you think. And I didn't necessarily have the right mentality going into this, because I didn't realize how much you'd have to either just shove it all in on a win bet, and someone did that in the last 2 races on Friday and went from $7,500 to $120,000 by betting all their money to win in the 9th race and all their money to win in the 10th race. Or you have to hit these monster tries straight to be able to create massive value. And that's not easy to do. So I would definitely go in with a different strategy next time. But man, I walked out of there being jacked up to get into every tournament like this I can. I want to double qualify for Pegasus. I want to double qualify for BCBC. I want to, doing it is such a cool experience and such a fun weekend that I want to get there again. And that's pretty much the best compliment I can give the tournament, or just the way that we were hosted at Gulfstream. Everything, I want to get back there. And that's as high as praise as I give them.
The scary thing, if you're listening or watching this and you're a tournament player, the scary thing is that Mike has cashed very well his first time at the NHC and his first time in the BCBC. And now he's coming back to the NHC a second time, hopefully back to the BCBC, and he's going to qualify for the Pegasus. Hope we go to the Pegasus and do that one. So if you're a tournament player, be very afraid. Mike Samich is coming, and
don't worry about me.
Now he's got the experience under his belt for a lot of these. So I don't know that we're necessarily going to get to what was it, 14,000 to 1 on you at the, or 140 to 1 at the NHC. I don't think I'm going to get that on you again this year. If I can get that again, it's going to be a lot more than $280 that goes on that ticket.
Well, hopefully, I'm already qualified once, so we already got the 1 bullet. Hopefully, we can get the second NHC bullet, which I think is a huge advantage. And the lowest number they had was 75 to 1 last year on there, and I would still play myself at 75 to 1. I would take that. Oh,
geez. This is that's the biggest lock since you got Monomoy Girl at 2 to 1 in the futures to win the distaff.
That was fun too. That was a lot of fun.
So just as admirable as you double qualifying for these things, let alone cashing in them and doing as well as you did this weekend, Whitmore has qualified for the Breeders' Cup Sprint 4 years in a row. That alone is an incredible feat. You have to be healthy enough. You have to be talented enough. You just have to be peaking at the right time to even go to the Breeders' Cup, let alone finish second, third, and in your 4th try, win it. So buy or sell, Mike. The best Breeders' Cup story was Whitmore winning the sprint.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. I do think that was the best overall, the best feel-good story. You had a lot of really good big-time performances and horses I thought were really impressive. But from a narrative perspective, I think Whitmore winning the sprint was by far the best story. Look, this horse has been around forever, and this horse runs again and again and again every year. I mean, this is just a hard-knocking, cool horse. That the number of starts that this horse made alone is absolutely incredible. I'm scrolling through to get to the race right now. I think it was the 8th race that Whitmore ended up winning, and this horse has now earned it's earned $3 million going into this, 14 for 37 lifetime, 12 for 23 lifetime at the distance going into this. So now it's 13th win at 6 furlongs, and some would argue 7 is actually the better distance for Whitmore, which is crazy. And it's just, this horse has run in almost exclusively graded stakes for the last 3 years. And to be still running at this level and doing so well, it's absolutely amazing. And it's the number of jockeys this horse has had. I mean, it's Rosario, it's Castellano, it's Ortiz in this one. We had Santana way back in the day. This horse has just been kind of thrown around. It's like that second tier horse, but it was great to finally see Whitmore get that monster one home and be able to be a Breeders' Cup champion.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy it as well for the same reason that you brought up earlier. You brought up Chance Moquette, Ron Moquette, the trainer, co-owner, his reaction watching the race. But then this, to me, really is what sealed the deal as this being the best story. Chance Bocut tweeted this. If you're just listening, I'll read it for you. No parents, no money, no connections, standing at the pinnacle of his profession as a champion with an autoimmune lung disease during a global health pandemic. Find your own hero. This is mine. It's a picture of his dad holding the trophy up.
Pretty cool.
It sounds more or less like this is like any kind of an autoimmune lung disease that you would have. COVID's pretty much going to wipe you out at that point. So the fact that he just said, I'm going in there, I'm going to do it. I believe in the horse, willing to throw caution to the wind for his own personal health because he believed in the horse, to be rewarded like that is just incredible. And he's now earned basically $4.25 million. This horse was already the king of Oaklawn before the Breeders' Cup. And we were saying, you got to name one of these stakes races after him. You need to find the best possible purse money to put into a stakes race so that it can get grade 1 status and attract the top horses. And you name that the Whitmore Stakes, because at this point, nothing less is good enough. Nothing less than that is good enough.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you think about like the H. Allen Jerkins, that one got renamed recently up in Saratoga. I would almost say Whitmore's has to be a grade 1 now, right? Like, it can't be a grade 3 or an overnight 125 or anything like that. Now Whitmore has to, like, the Whitmore Stakes or the Whitmore Sprint should be a grade 1 at Oaklawn now. And that also very cool to see this horse be able to do that. And it just the longevity of the career, like, just really cool to see this horse. And I'm not sure. Is Whitmore running next year? Have you heard anything?
They said, yeah, they're going to give him the rest of the year off, and they're going to bring him back. I mean, at the very least, bring him back for Oaklawn. Retire him at the end of Oaklawn. I mean, stay until the Derby, and then that's when you give him one last time. I mean, let the people see it. As long as he's doing well, and it sounds like, you know, they're going to keep his best interest in mind, as they always have. Yep. You brought up a great point, by the way. This horse has been almost exclusively in graded stakes for the last 3.5 years. This horse was in the Kentucky Derby a long time ago, got 19th. And then Ron Moquett even said afterwards, he said, this is one of those wins for the people who they turn the horse out. He said, kick him out in the field, let them relax, regroup, and figure out what they do best. And this is something that you and I harp on all the time, is find horses what they do best. And then that's when you want to play them. Ron Moquett said, all right, he's not a Derby horse. He's maybe not even a 2-turn horse. We're going to put him in here. We're going to do sprinting. And now he earned $4.25 million. I mean, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
And pretty damn cool. This is the third time this horse has hit the board in the Breeders' Cup Sprint in the last 3 years. He ran third to Matoli and Chancelot last year, and ran second to Roy H. the year before that. That's a pretty good group of horses that have beaten you in the Breeders' Cup Sprint in the last two meetings. And then you able to take home the crown this year. It's just really, really cool stuff. Yeah, and the Count Fleet is it's a grade 3, though. We need a grade 1 for Whitmore. Like, at this point, give the man some love. Let's get him up there. Let's get that grade 1 on him.
We'll get there sooner or later. All right. The bet, on a similar note, buy or sell, Nashville would have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint if he was in it. If you remember, Nashville started off Breeders' Cup Saturday, race 1, set a track record, didn't even look like he broke a sweat. Just completely obliterated. The track record was almost by a second, I believe. I don't have the numbers on me, but it was something crazy incredible. It was far faster than what Whitmore did to win the sprint, and he had to try hard. So, Mike, buy or sell, Nashville would have won the sprint.
Well, let's see. He went 21-3, 43-4 from a fraction perspective, and the sprint went 21-3, 44-3. So he would have been 5 lengths ahead in the sprint had he had run the same fractions. Now, the buyers came back that the track was faster earlier in the day, so there you might, a little bit of change there. One of the things, and one of the reasons why Yalpan did not do so well in the sprint is he wasn't able to get to the lead, and he had contention, or he was contested when he tried to go to that lead. I'm not sure Nashville would have been contested. Now, it depends how you feel about Steve Asmussen here as well. Steve Asmussen believed Yalpan was better than Nashville going into this day. He made the decision to run Yalpan in the sprint because Yalpan is, quote unquote, Nashville with 2 more races. So I'm not going to say he would have won the sprint. Based on the performances, he probably had a better chance than Yalpan, we'll put it that way. But the sprint had, like, comparing one to the other is apples and oranges, right? The first race had no other contesting speed. The sprint had 5 other horses that wanted to go to the lead. So you were going to face pace pressure either way if you were Nashville in the sprint. Now, he was ultra impressive. I've never seen him even break a sweat in any of his starts. So I think he had a better chance of winning than Yalpan, but it would have been really tough to beat Whitmore no matter what. I mean, Whitmore aired that field. He aired them. And that's just not something you normally see in a race like that.
Yeah, Aaron brought this up. There's a post coming to racenews.com later this week where Aaron and Jared went through and they ranked all 14 Breeders' Cup races in terms of, 14th being the one that was least impressive. Everybody was impressive, but the least impressive to the most impressive. And one of the things he wrote about with Whitmore is that exact point. It's just not only did he win, He won going away from
Yeah.
off the pace when the track wasn't playing that way. In a race, the Breeders' Cup, you don't see that. I mean, I remember Roy H. at the top of his game would win by 2 lengths. You'd be like, shit, he killed him. He blew him out. It's like, you see what he did. I think it's a fun discussion point. I'm going to say bye based on what we saw happen in both of those races, but we'll never know. It's a very fun thing to kind of toss about, and we've got a month and a half until we're going to see Nashville again. He's supposed to go to the Malibu Stakes. It'll be his first time trying 7 furlongs, I believe, and he's going to have to face Independence Hall, which sounds like a joke, but go watch. He won the last race at Del Mar on Sunday. It was his first time racing out here. It wasn't that bad. He's not beating Nashville, but he wasn't that bad. You give him a second start. Listen, Nashville's probably going to smoke him in the Malibu. I'm just saying that's what we got to look forward to next for him.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Nashville face older. That's really my thing. That's the next challenge, because facing 3-year-olds in the Malibu should not be a challenge. He should smoke them, but we'll see. You know, maybe he'll get some pace pressure, and we'll see what happens. If we have no clue if the horse has heart yet, or what. And that's not. I'm not taking a shot at Nashville here and saying it's his fault. He's been way faster than everybody. That's why we don't know. But we still need to see what happens when someone goes eyeball to eyeball with him.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thing that I was worried about with Yopon. That's why I didn't pick him on top in the sprint. He had a rough trip, but again, this is a 3-year-old, never been challenged before. Gets in with the older horses. The horses are going to knock him around a little bit and keep going. He wasn't ready for it, but we'll see what happens. Next topic, Mike. Buy or sell. Tarnawa's Breeders' Cup Turf win was better than Enable's in 2018. They both came over the same opponent, Magical. Enable did it at Churchill Downs. It was one of the best stretch duels I've ever seen, other than Songbird versus Beholder in the Distaff 2060. Tarnawa's Breeders' Cup Turf win, she just smoked him. So, buy or sell, Tarnawa's was better than Enable's.
Buy. I was so impressed with Tarnawa. I mentioned this on the live show my brief appearance there on Saturday. The slow pace with a turf course that was favoring horses that were closer to the lead, and oh my God, it looked like this horse was done. But the jockey also was really calm when riding this horse. It was just absolutely chilly going into the entire backstretch, and second to last, just against a slow pace. And Channelmaker's been running well up front, and like I joked, it was a New York pace, because it was a New York pace. And they went 51 and change, and Tarnawa was sitting second to last, and under a hand ride just starts swooping the field on the turn. And again, when you have these slow paces, you look at these finishes in New York, it's a neck, it's a head. Tarnawa won by 3 going away, going the overland route. I mean, she was 4 or 5 wide around the turn. I was so impressed with the turn of foot that horse had, and to make the move around the turn, to sweep by the entire field, and then just to be able to sustain it and blow him away down the stretch was just, it was just a wow, just an absolute wow. So I thought Tarnawa was awesome. And I thought that performance to me was more breathtaking than Enable's win.
I'm going to agree with you, and you nailed why I'm going to agree with you. It was the jockey. This is a jockey that had never been on Tarnawa, got the call the morning before. You're going to ride this horse because Christoph Soumillon's got COVID and he can't run this weekend. So we need you, Colin Keane, who is the Irish flat champion in 2017, 2020. He's good, but we didn't really know who he was in America. He's not Frankie Dettori. He's not Ryan Moore. Dettori knew Enable as well as anyone has ever known Enable. Yeah. We'd even heard Dermot Weld, the trainer for Tarnawa, had said it's going to be interesting because she needs somebody who knows her. And I'm like, God, well, that's not great. Aaron and I were all huge on her. You were used. I'm like, God, I can't. God, the jockey change is going to screw this up. We were so confident. You want to talk confidence, man? That jockey never freaked out, never panicked, knew what to do. And that's why he's a champion jockey. I mean, you throw him on a horse, you tell him what to do, and he bleeping goes out there and does it. You hear that, American jockeys? That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, God, that was one of the few performances. Like I would have loved to be on track and see that move. That was one of those moves where just being there in person would have been just so incredible to see. So hopefully we get to see Tarnawa again. I mean, to me, she was really impressive. I thought the Europeans really across the board. I don't know if this is a buy or sell later. Should I go into this now or no?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
They won every turf race on Saturday. Every single freaking
That's right.
one.
The turf sprint, first time in 13 years it's been done.
And we talked about it on the Friday show, how as these races get longer, watch out for these Europeans. They didn't have a big day with the 2-year-olds, but they were all at sprint or mile distances, and the speed was playing well when we get like every single race. And glass slippers, I did not have. I did not play a Euro in the sprint because I don't play Euros in the sprint. That horse won, and I was like, oh, here we go. Like, this is just going to – the dam just broke, and the Euros are going to be flooding in now. And that is exactly what happened. I mean, every single turf race after that, a European horse won. Just really impressive performance, and shows you, hey, look, just a little notch below, man. A little notch below when we talk about those North American turf horses.
A quick question. Gunner421 wants to know if we're in the same room. We're not. Mike is in North Carolina. I'm in Los Angeles. We're just doing a slightly different view. Yeah, it didn't work out. We're doing a slightly different view just because I'm not screen sharing. But if that's why you're wondering, we are not Aaron and Jared. We're not sharing the same two double beds pushed together when the lights go out. We're separate. Although as much as we'd love to be together, these live shows are even more fun when we get to do them together here. Let's move on to we'll move on to the next one. The next few, Mike, they're going to be about the Classics. So first one, general topic, buy or sell. 10 years from now, we will look back on this Classics field and say it was a star-studded lineup. For me, I define it being a star-studded lineup based on what did the horses do before, what was the hype like, and what did they do afterwards, whether it's on the track or it's studs. So buy or sell, we'll look back 10 years from now and say this was a star-studded lineup for the Classic.
I think it's a sell. I think that Maximum Security is going to go down as a very odd horse that's not going to be that touted because of everything that's happened since the service. I think that Authentic actually hurts Tiz the Law because of what happened to Tiz the Law in the last two races. I think that hurts, based on what Authentic did to Tiz the Law, I think that hurts Tiz the Law's long-term trajectory as like a superstar in the sport. Tom's the Tot was your favorite. Like, sorry, but that's not great. Yeah, that's not good. And Improbable running second. I mean, it's a horse that had not really won any of these big time grade ones against larger fields. So when you look back at the accomplishments of the horses, they're all, for lack of a better term, forgettable. Besides Tiz the Law, who won the Belmont and the Travers, but then was smoked by another 3-year-old who didn't face in either of those races twice. So unfortunately, I think that all adds up to me selling the fact that this is one that we're going to be talking about for the next 10 years. I'm gonna
tepidly buy it. I will say when going into this race, and probably a lot of us felt this way, I thought this was the best one since 2010 when Blame beats Zenyatta. But if you look at that field, you had so many good horses that were talented going in, and then they went off to be success at stud. Let's run through this Classic field. This was a question I thought about putting in there. I ended up not doing it, but here's who's in that. Improbable is now off to stud. Yep. Authentic is now off to stud. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Global Campaign, Pegasus, then stud. Tacitus, nobody wants to breed to him, so he's coming back next year. Maximum Security, stud. Tiz the Law coming back for 2021. Tom's a Tot off to stud. Higher Power off to stud. Title Ready, C Tacitus. By my standards, it sounds like they're going to bring him back for 2021. So you've got 6 or 7 horses in this field going straight into stud, and that presents its own problems, but I think it's going to take me about 5 years to be able to convincingly say that this is a buy or sell for him. But that's kind of the fun of it here. Yeah,
it's going to be awfully interesting to me when we see whether or not like Max Security and Authentic are not exactly horses I'm looking forward to breeding to if I've got a really big time mare. Sorry, guys. Improbable with a City Zip may turn out some pretty nice sprinters, especially with and maybe he can get a couple horses going a little bit longer. Tom's the Tot's not one of those where I'm like, yeah, let's breed to him. Even Tiz the Law. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I'm not sure. Constitution obviously is nice. So we'll see if Constitution become a maker of second sires, but we don't know if Constitution is going to be a sire or sire yet. And so when you actually look at the lineage of a lot of these horses, there's that question mark. I mean, Global Campaign with the Curlin lineage may be the best, like the most exciting prospect from a sire perspective, and clearly not the best horse in the race. So it's just interesting to see who's going to be able to, in 5 years, who is going to be the best sire from this field. Because I would just say I wouldn't say it's any of the Baffords. I think it'll be someone else.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who. I'm going to go. Tell you what, I'm going to go with either Tiz the Law or By My Standards, because you've got a continuation of the Into Mischief line through Golden Sense where you can point at it and say, all right, this has succeeded so far through this lineation. And I think he's got good breeding. I think he's going to be a sneaky good sire when he gets out there. If somebody finds him a spot. Let's talk about our favorite horse this year, Mike, Authentic. I was going to say a buy or sell him being retired immediately after the Classic. I'm going to buy that all day just because get the hell out of here. Do not want to see you ever again show up in my PPs until you're a sire and it's 5,000 claimers. This is something very interesting. So if you're not familiar, my racehorse, which is Mike and I very big proponents of, we're not shitting on my racehorse, so don't get mad at us. But when they bought into Authentic right before the Haskell, there were all these kickers involved. And you got lifetime stallion dividends as a shareholder through Authentic. But there are all these little kickers. And if you don't know what a kicker is, it's basically something where you have to pay an incentive later. You're getting into it now. It's almost like a loan. We'll let you win now, but it's going to cost you a little bit more later. So Authentic's kickers, $2.7 million for winning any grade 1, ends up being the Haskell. Then $9 million because he won the Kentucky Derby. Almost $6 million for winning a race at the Breeders' Cup, ends up being the Classic. $1 million because he's going to be named the 3-year-old champion of the year. And another $1 million for Horse of the Year. This is over $19.5 million in total kickers that need to be paid back at 3.5% interest before anybody who owns Authentic for my racehorse gets a dime back. I mean, this is crazy. Like, if you really dive into this, Mike, buy or sell those kickers.
Buy. For a simple reason that if you bought a share of Authentic for $206 and your goal was to make a bunch of money, you probably shouldn't have bought a share of Authentic. Like, I'm sorry, but if look, my dad bought a share of Authentic. He's over the moon at winning the Derby and the Classic. He doesn't give a damn about the $206. And like, anyone who's thinking about getting into group ownership, you shouldn't be doing it to make money. That's not like, this is an experience and an enjoyment. And yeah. People that are all upset about these kickers and I'm not getting my $14 share because of this, like, I mean, come on. Like, the point of owning the horse is the excitement you have on race day, is being able to try and get in the paddock when they have those special events with My Racehorse. It's the experience and the inclusion that you get from it. That's the whole point of this racehorse ownership style. So for me, yeah, look, buy. If what got Spendthrift to do this deal was these kickers, and then that created 5,000 owning winning or Derby winning owners and 5,000 Breeders' Cup winning owners, hell yeah. Raise the kickers up as high as you need to get involved with this horse, because it creates more people who get excited about horse racing.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to also buy this because here's the thing. If you didn't understand what kickers were or how it worked, or if you didn't read the fine print and you bought into it, you signed a contract, that's your fault for kind of screwing things up. And I'm going to say, I haven't heard a single Authentic My Racehorse owner complain. Exactly. This is all people on the outside who are trying to make this a problem, when everyone at My Racehorse, I talked to a gentleman named Joe Mishak, who's the head of the customer experience, the fan experience, owner experience, whatever it is. Basically one of the main guys at My Racehorse. And I texted him afterwards and just joking, I was like, what does it feel like to be on top of the world? And he said a bunch of words that I can't say, but he was extremely happy. And they're over the moon. They're not thinking about 19.5. They have a horse that won the Derby, won the Haskell, won the Breeders' Cup Classic, and is now going to go off to stud at $75,000 a mare. If you bought into it and you're mad, you screwed up, but nobody's doing that. So I'm with you. This was a positive experience from that. I know the blinkers off guys like to make fun of it a lot, but if you knew what you got into, you had an amazing time. I think I'd be a little mad that they retired him at this point. I want to see him keep trying to win, but Aaron brought up a great point. They might not have been able to afford this horse keep going. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, that you, depending on where the kickers work, you get just more and more and more crazy. But yeah, it's all about the experiential part of this. And you know, Nassau is dead on, man. You can end up with a small fortune owning horses, but you got to have money to make money in horse racing. And $206 ain't enough, isn't having money. Like, that's the thing, is that you really have to, you either have to hit it big on one horse like American Pharoah and the Zayats, and that kind of can start or end, depending on how it goes, your legacy. But if you have one of these monster horses, yeah, you can make money off it. And occasionally you get like a California Chrome, which can start that legacy, or someone like that that's super cheap. But for the most part, if you look at, like, for instance, the mares that sold this year for $9.5 million and $3.5 million, it's people of a lot of money who are selling those horses for a lot of money. It's not people like, oh no, I don't know, me and you, who buy in for $150 or $200, or even when I spent $5,000 on buying in a racehorse. You're not getting, $1 million back for that ever, or rarely. Nope. It's just like betting horses or playing poker. When that money's out there, it's gone, and just have fun. That's it. It's just like going to the racetrack, right? If you're buying if you're going to spend $200 at the racetrack, and said you want to buy 0.01% of Authentic, you assume it's gone, and if you get anything back, you should be happy, because it's all about the experience. It's not about making a ton of money when you're doing fractional ownership. Now, if you're playing the game and you're claiming horses for $20,000, you're buying horses for $125,000, obviously that is a different level, and you are trying to make money doing that. When you're buying in for $200, you have to make sure you level set. That's all I'm saying. This guy right here is a perfect example. Tiz the Magician. Turn the head a little bit. Exactly. I bought into him, and I have had the time of my life as owning one hair on his tail. I don't expect any of that money or anything I get with my horses to come back, but to me, the experience is worth it. And I would say Authentic's 5,000 owners or whatever, they'd completely agree with this. Yeah, we got to draft a racehorse that we both owned a part of.
It's pretty incredible. Like, it's a lot of fun. So, and yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Just make sure you know what you're getting into and your expectations are properly set.
I cheated a little bit. I put it up there on early a little quickly there, but buy or sell. Our favorite 3-year-old this year, the second favorite, Tiz the Law, will win a graded stakes race in 2021. Buy or sell?
I'm going to buy. I mean, I think that this horse is a very good horse still. I think Authentic, since the Derby, has definitely proven Authentic's a very good horse, especially when left alone on the lead. And then that horse can get the job done. And Tiz the Law has chased him home a couple times. I don't think Manny Franco is going to be riding this horse anymore, which, look, I don't love the ride, but I don't necessarily think it mattered, to be fair. Like, he wasn't winning that race. So, I'm not all that upset about that. I think you're just going to see Tiz the Law be in more favorable spots moving forward. I think that people are going to go a little, like, his Derby was good. He didn't love the track. He didn't go by. His classic wasn't great, but he drew the 2 posts. It was a really bad post. And the ride was left a little bit desired. Like, I don't know why people are shitting all over this horse. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the horse is still very good. And so if he comes back and runs a full 4-year-old campaign, I'd be surprised if he does not win in graded stakes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with our good friend Michael Myers has said that if he gets a new jockey. I'm not going to blame Manny so much. I think Manny would want that back. I think that's one of the worst rides I've ever seen from Manny Franco. But things are happening in a millisecond. It did Barclay Tag, by the way. Did you see his comments afterwards? He said, I can train him. I can't.
Going to be a new jockey. He shots.
I can train them. I just can't ride them. Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. Someone put when Jared tweeted out the quotes from the connections from the Breeders' Cup Classic afterwards, and someone posted the GIF from South Park of Mr. Mackey pushing Cartman right in front of a bus. It just it had me in stitches. So that was great. He has too much talent to not win, and especially with who's going to face him. I mean, hell, even the Pegasus. If you want to project to the Pegasus where he's going to head from this race, maybe Tacitus. Global Campaign's going to go there before he retires. Who the hell's going to face him in the Pegasus? That's a track that he absolutely loves, Gulfstream Park. He can handle a 1 1/8 with no problem, especially if he gets an outside post draw. He gets like 5 or higher. No issues for me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who else runs in there. Even with this inside post draw and how he broke, I wish that he just sent. I wish he literally ran up and into the turn and then let Authentic cross over and just tilt it out to the 2 path. Because that would have been better for his overall. Because he broke really well. It's not like he
almost went to the lead.
Yeah, that's the thing. And so, I mean, I think it's interesting that I didn't love the trip, but I also don't think that I don't think Manny Franco did a horrible job on him. I don't think he was winning the race no matter what he did. Authentic ran really well and was able to walk on the lead. And that when you get a horse that did that with much faster fractions in the Derby, at the half mile point, I'm like, well, this is over. Like we know who's winning the race now.
Yep. All right, Mike, buy or sell? Spendthrift Farm buying Monomoy Girl and Got Stormy for over $2 million. I think it was over $10 million. I think it was 12 and a quarter, something like that. It's something ridiculous for Monomoy Girl and Got Stormy. Then announcing they're both racing again in 2021 from their same barns. Buy or sell that?
Can I go half and half? I'm buying Monomoy Girl. I am selling Got Stormy because Monomoy Girl is probably the best horse in training now. So you can fire at some really big purses like the Pegasus. Someone mentioned if you want to try and get the 1 1/8. What's Got Stormy going to do exactly? Like you spent $3.5 million on her. How are you going to recoup half of that in a single year with her running turf sprints? I'm baffled at what Got Stormy is going to come back and run in. That to me is the biggest thing. Like, fine with Monomoy Girl, if you're running her there and you send her over to Dubai and you're like, hey, we're taking shots. Okay, fine, I get it. Got Stormy's going to be running like 200K stakes races. Like this is not a good idea. This is not a protection of investment. It's a bad idea actually. So I would buy Monomoy Girl. I'm going to sell Got Stormy.
I'll buy both of them just because I'm going to believe that Spendthrift Farm talked to each trainer and said, if we buy them, can they race again? Do you want them again for next year? And I don't think Mark Casse is the kind of person who would say yes, unless he really thought that Got Stormy was going to be able to continue doing well as a 6-year-old mare on turf sprints. And who's the one person all year who has not lost faith in Got Stormy? It's Mark Casse. So I'm going to take a flyer. And
opinion bias.
Yes, he's going to have bias because he wants to keep going. But I also trust that he's going to know when a horse is done or protecting a horse, taking care of a horse. I think I'm going to trust that Mark Casse knows what he's doing and that he loves this mare too much to let her go or to risk letting her get hurt. I do think it's a D-Wayne Lucas thing. We're going to wrap them in bubble wrap and wait until their next race at that point. But I'm going to buy it just for that purpose.
I mean, to me, it really goes back to what's the upside of winning. If this horse wins every race that it's in, what's the total amount it could earn? And the number it's just not that high because of the way that the style that the horse runs. So I'm scrolling back here, so you probably hear my mouse right now as I try and get back to the turf sprint because, man, these PPs were heavy over the weekend.
Oh my gosh,
all these freaking horses. I feel like I killed 4 trees printing them out. But Got Stormy, the most she has made, it was last year, was $1.1 million. And I just don't see how she's going to be able to replicate that 2019 where she had 4 wins and she ran second in the Breeders' Cup Mile. She ran second in the Woodbine Mile, won the 4-star Dave, and that got her to 1.1. You're going to need to do that at least to pay for 1/3 of it. And you if you breed her to Warfront, if you breed her to I don't know, American Pharaoh, there's a bunch of different horses I think would be really interesting to breed her with. You're getting probably that and maybe more for that one horse. So I just, I don't see it's the earning potential that makes the big difference to me.
I just want to put this comment up there. I'm not going to make fun of you because Lord knows Mike and I make more than our fair share of mistakes here. Time to breed Got Stormy to Tepin. That's going to be hard. They're both mares. I don't know how that's going to work out. Big if true.
Send you some videos to show you how that worked out.
Well, Mike looks for those on his phone and his hidden computer there. Last question, Mike. Buy or sell? The 2020 Breeders' Cup was a success.
Hey, buy. It happened. I mean, seriously, it happened on the days it was originally scheduled, went off without a hitch. I wish there could have been fans there. It's a little disappointing to just see the quote unquote horse racing royalty there. When I realize that's where a lot of the money comes from, but the bettors are really what makes this world go around. So it would have been nice to have some more of those people there. But the races went off without a hitch. We had a safe weekend. We had a lot of very good horses show up. We had a good betting card, and it went off on the same days it was supposed to in 2020, which is more than we have gotten in most cases. So I thought it was a success. What about you?
Absolutely. This is the biggest buy of the whole thing for me. This was for so many reasons that you just outlined, Mike. This could have gone wrong. This could have not happened. They could have had to move the race. Everything could have popped, and they handled it well. I heard from people who were on site, like Aaron and Jared, that they were enforcing the mask policy when you were in public areas, so that was good. I'm seeing that they're having huge spikes in Kentucky for COVID cases, but that's literally everywhere in the country, so I'm not going to blame the Breeders' Cup for that one. The contenders cams, breederscup.com, they did a really great job with their website. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, or I'm talking to the viewers too. But you could watch a camera. If you wanted to see Monowit Girl from the time she came out of the barn until the race was about to start, they had one camera that followed her the whole time. You could do that for every horse in every race all weekend. That's more action than you can, or more visualization than you get from being at the track. And then the jockey cams, if you go to the Breeders' Cup's YouTube page, the 4 times that a jockey wore the camera and won a race, they put those on there. And let me tell you, if you thought that Joel Rosario thread the needle on Vequist in the juvenile fillies, watch the replay and tell me your butthole doesn't pucker up when he goes between day out of the office and the rail. Because I knew what was going to happen. And watching the jockey cam, I was like, don't do it. And he somehow gets through and wins.
I've not seen that jockey cam. I'll have to check that out because that definitely would be cool to watch. And yeah, I like the fact that they did have these. They tried to innovate, which is something we often knock horse racing for, is a lack of innovation. And we always just say, hey, go for it. Like the jockey thing at Saratoga, where they had literally pyrotechnics for them coming out before the Travers that one year. Yeah, it was cheesy, but it was fun. Try something new, So I like these new cameras and having the jockeys, and even having BCBC come up multiple times during the broadcast and updating that leaderboard. All that stuff I think is good steps forward. So I was happy to see all of that. And again, I was just happy to see that we were able to have this weekend of racing, because nothing is guaranteed right now with everything going on. And so it's nice that we were able to get through this and have a good time. And the pools were great too. Like someone mentioned, it's a huge betting weekend. And so I think it was the 6th largest someone mentioned out of all the years. So not having fans there and having that handle, it's a very good thing.
Yeah, Jared posted that right towards the end of the Saturday live show. They announced there's a 6th largest handle in Breeders' Cup history. 0 fans other than the owners and stuff in attendance there. So that's saying something. And especially because if you didn't know this, if you bet through an ADW, unless it's Naira Bets and you live in New York, that doesn't help with the handle for the tracks and everything like that. So there's a lot of, the ADW stuff taking percentages. This was great. Oh, Michael saw V-Quiz too. I'm telling you, man, that V-Quiz. And that's That's what Rosario does all the time. Is he'll try and save ground and go up the rail. I really wish we had one on Whitmore because seeing stuff like that. Adaria's got one where you can only see half the camera because there's a huge chunk of turf just blocking it. And then you get an idea for
the kickback. Why they flip the goggles?
Exactly. You get the kickback. I forget who it was on the Friday show, but they were talking about that the Donna Brothers went out and picked up chunks of turf and was showing it to people, and it's like
that was
this
Ricky.
is just.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Ricky. Okay. Just stuff was flying up in the air. So the kickback on the dirt, that was Aaron. There was just like so much dust in the air. You can see that. It's insane. If you didn't have respect for these jockeys, it doesn't have to be Smith job, but jockeys in general, go watch this, man. This is what they're doing all over the country every single day. It's crazy.
It's pretty cool. And then I'm happy anytime we innovate. So that was the big thing for me, is seeing that the pushing innovation on a day like this is unique in horse racing. So it's good to see it.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you so much for going through the Breeders' Cup weekend with Mike and I, talking about our favorite stories, buying, selling, all sorts of different topics. Mike, I got to say, I woke up this morning. My usual Monday routine is I sit down, get my coffee, my notepad, and I figure out my plan for the week. And I looked at the slate of races coming up this week and the weekend, and I went, what the hell am I supposed to do this week? It's a little quiet out there. So I hope you're getting to enjoy some of the downtime, as I know Aaron and Jared and I are too.
Yeah, I'm actually more jacked up about horse racing than I like this weekend. Just being at the BCBC and being able to play that, and then having the tournament day I had on Saturday on horse tourneys where I crushed. And then Sunday hitting the pick 5 at Del Mar and the Sama Bombs for $2,100. So everyone was up if you played the Sama Bombs for the weekend after missing that $5,000 pick 4 on Saturday by about a half length. Damn horse didn't get by that I absolutely loved the entire time. Circus Maximus just couldn't go by that 76-1 shot. So I'm still like riding high. And the first thing I did on my Monday morning was go on to horse tourneys and see how I can qualify for Pegasus and the Flow Cal tournament. Those are the next two big ones on horse tourneys. If you're out there and you haven't gotten involved, try it out. You qualify for like $18. You can get to qualify 2 levels to do it. But I can't wait to get back into these big tourneys, man. They're so much fun to play.
I gave this guy a shout out on the Saturday recap show. He sent us a really nice email, but he left a comment here. Scott Thomas is giving you and I plenty of praise for he hit the pick 4. I wish we hit the pick 4, but I'm glad we were able to give you the tools, help give you the tools to be able to hit the pick 4 on your own, because honestly, that's what you did. So congrats to you. Thank you for your continued support. That goes to everybody who continues watching. We really appreciate you guys and gals and everybody who continues to watch and follow. Comment with us live. And man, this is we're taking a little bit of time to relax mentally, but man, we're not done with the Magic Mike Show. We're going to keep going through things. So we'll come up with some races for you guys to follow. Mike, one of the comments or questions we've gotten before, and I can't remember if it's an email or not, someone had asked if we can do the favor of announcing at the end of this show on Mondays what we're going to cover on Thursday so they can get the PPs and be prepared for when the live show hits. So looking ahead, it's pretty much Aqueduct, Del Mar. I don't know, Churchill's might be racing, I think. Do you have a preference for this weekend for the fans?
I mean, I would lean Del Mar just because we know the weather we're going to get. And I say that after it rained on Sunday at Del Mar, like cats and dogs. I would kind of lean. Yeah, I would kind of lean Del Mar just because I like playing Del Mar this time of year. Aqueduct can get a little funky. So let's tentatively plan Del Mar late pick 4 for Thursday's show.
Thursday's show, it's going to be a Saturday card at Del Mar, so those will come out on Wednesday, so you got about 24 hours. We'll see you guys back here Thursday at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
We'll see you guys Thursday.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.